Here and welcome to a special edition of Plane Time with my special guest, Nick from the Barron Flights, and he just posted, "Hi Nick, how's it going?" So we're going to do something very interesting, but before we do that, I just wanted to answer a question that he put on my latest video on YouTube, which was the video about the Zealot H743 Flight Controller. And well, why don't I get you to ask the question, Nick? Because I wanted to answer what your question was.
Okay, this is in relation to a video that I saw this afternoon with Tim putting some sort of speed controller into a bus, into something else that would eventually do something else that I don't quite understand because I'm old, and it's something to do with a speedometer, as far as I can work out. And my question to Tim was, because we've not discussed this beforehand, the question was, does this give you the speed, basically, does it tell you the speed while you're flying, and is there an upper limit? So, for instance, if you was going 60 miles an hour, will it tell you if you're going 500 miles an hour, or will it tell you if you're going 2 miles an hour? And I don't quite see how that works, and I can't quite reason why he's doing it.
Got it.
That's it, basically.
All right, I think I understand the question. So this, as far as I understand, because I don't have the exact piece of the video in front of me, but I think it's about the airspeed sensor, and I talked about setting up an airspeed sensor connected to the flight controller. So an airspeed sensor, from the name, it detects the speed of the vehicle through the air, and it's different to the ground speed, especially as you know when there's wind involved. If you're heading into the wind, you might have a very high speed of the plane through the air, but might be even barely moving on the ground, to the extent that I've done that where you can pretty much hover into the ground and land if the wind speed is high enough, because you have a nice airspeed of the plane going through the air that's flowing through. So what the airspeed sensor does is, and it has a little thing, they call it a pitot tube, which has two little air inlets in it, and it measures the air pressure differential between the air coming in from the front and a static air pressure where there's no air coming in, so that'll be on the back. And it basically measures the difference and says, okay, based on this, the plane is going through the air at the rate of, let's say, 60 kilometers an hour or 50 kilometers an hour. And it just feeds the actual measurement of the pressure differential through to the flight controller. What you do with it is pretty much up to you. Flight controllers have some fancy logic in there that they can do things like speed up the motor to match a target airspeed. If you can set it and say, I want to be doing 60 kilometers an hour through the air, and it measures the airspeed and you're doing 70, it'll actually throttle down automatically. Or it can just display it on the on-screen display, so you know.
Right. Now, the very last bit,
Yes.
I kind of understood that. So what you're saying is, it's a constant velocity governor.
Well, it's not a governor itself, it just measures the speed. Now you can
Yeah.
tell you can tell that you can add on top of that, you can configure the flight controller to use that airspeed as an input and create a governor out of it if you like. Or you can have the so that's sort of, there's two parts to it. There's the sensor, which just measures it, and you can also just display it on the screen. I mean, when you're using the fancy FPV goggles, you can set it up so it'll tell you your airspeed, and so you're looking at the goggles, or you're looking at it on a screen on a computer that's connected. You can just say, oh, well, that plane is flying 60 kilometers an hour. It's not doing anything with it, but it tells me that, so I know. And you can do things
so
like,
really, it's just for your reference then.
It can be for your reference, but like I said, then you can set up the second part where A, it can be just for reference, but B, then you can do extra things in the flight controller where you could set it up as a governor, so you can set a maximum speed, and you can absolutely do that, or you can set a minimum speed. If you know the stall speed of the plane, you know that this plane will stall if it goes less than 20 kilometers an hour wind speed, airspeed. Well, you could set it up so that it will automatically throttle up if the speed gets too low.
Yeah, I get that bit. The last bit where what is the stall speed?
Yeah,
that is something I understand. Because you see, what the viewers may not know or whatever it is that I'm old school. I very rarely put anything into the radio and program. I just fly it off the sticks, and I've found Tim, who is a tech guy and the software, and I'm thinking like, wow, what's all this and how does that work, and is this something that I can incorporate within a project that I have? But being an older man, I don't quite understand it. So this is what we're doing now, to have a chat and open things up so that dumb people like me can get what Tim's on about, because some of the things I don't understand what he's saying.
Okay, and I appreciate you asking, Nick, because you're not that old compared to me as you know, and secondly, you're definitely not dumb. It's maybe you just don't have the information, and I have a bit of background in computers and technology that helps me to get there a little quicker. So the key is for you to ask questions, because if I jump to something, I find that in my day job I can jump to a conclusion, and not bring people along and explain how I got there, and so if you can ask the questions and make me explain it clearly, I think that's good for everybody. So thanks, Nick. Thanks for your question. That was my answer. Tim the Plane Man, over and out.